In this module, we'll cover configuring Coastal Explorer. To begin, we'll start in the main menu in the upper left-hand corner. In the main menu, you can check which version of Coastal Explorer you're running. In this case, 3.1.15026. While we're in licensing and add-ons, let's look at a couple other things. There's a store. You could download and install Coast Pilot information, but that's already installed automatically through a default installation. Active Captain is an interactive cruising guidebook. You go to the Active Captain website, activecaptain.com, and register, which you use your email address and you pick a password. Then, once you've set up that account on the Active Captain website, come to Coastal Explorer, go to the Active Captain add-on, get this for free, click that, fill in your email address and Active Captain password, click OK, and a sync window opens in Coastal Explorer, and Coastal Explorer begins synchronizing the Active Captain database for later use offline. Once this sync has been done, then Coastal Explorer can display the Active Captain information in the Guidebook tab, which we'll see when we get to that section. I'll hide this, let that go on in the background. Go back to the store. Another add-on that's nice to have, it's free, is the MapQuest Web Maps. Click that link. Click Get This for Free. There's another quick download, and now MapQuest Open Aerial Photos and OpenStreetMaps are available from the Charts folder. That will be covered in the next module, Charts. Also, back in the Licensing and Add-ons window, and in the Add-ons tab, are free cruising guides from the Atlantic Cruising Club. These are not just for the Atlantic coast. The name of the company is Atlantic Cruising Club. They have cruising guidebooks for various locations around the country, and clicking this will install that particular guidebook once it's done. Currently it's updating the Active Captain database, so once that's done it'll download and install the Atlantic Cruising Club guide, and we'll see that in the guidebook section. Configuring your charts and setting up the free NOAA chart subscriptions is covered in the Charts video coming next. Back in the main menu, Configure Vessel and Electronics is where we can configure information about our vessel, its name, its dimensions. It's also helpful to put in its cruising speed for use during ETA calculations in a later section. When entering units of measurement, you can use FT for feet, Foxtrot Tango, or M for meters. To configure electronics connected to Coastal Explorer, in the Data Ports tab, there's an auto detect feature which will automatically search for GPS receivers, AIS devices, etc. Once they've been configured, or to manually configure devices, click Port Settings, which brings up the Port Settings window. In this case, there's a Rosepoint GPS sensor connected to this computer. Its interface is selected as NMEA 0183, which is the correct interface. Its baud rate is 4800, which is correct, and the listener box is checked. This needs to be checked. Unchecking this tells the program to ignore data coming from this port. So for a device that's sending information, such as a GPS sensor, it's sending information to the computer, the listener box needs to be checked. Don't check the talker box. A USB GPS receiver only sends data, so we don't need to talk to it. It's not consuming any data. If the device you're configuring needs data, such as an autopilot, you'll want to check the talker box for its port, but not for this GPS sensor. Close that. The troubleshooter allows you to view data coming from the various COM ports connected to the computer. In this case, it sees that there's a Rosepoint GPS sensor hooked up. It's online. We're receiving data. The NMEA sentences that we're receiving are listed there. You could look at the raw data and GPS status. You can see its status. So there are the antennas. This antenna is in a building right now, but it's still getting a fairly decent fix. Close that. Options for various devices may be listed if the program has detected them. In this case, there's a GPS sensor hooked up, so clicking this shows GPS sensor configuration information. A name may be assigned to a GPS sensor, as well as a priority. This is only necessary when there are multiple GPS sources available. Assigning priority 1 to the highest priority device ensures that that device will be used when its data is available. The position of the antenna may be configured using the crosshairs or actual measurements. In my case, my antenna is on the stern of my boat, so I'll just drag that to the stern, and clicking OK closes the configuration window. Program options may be configured from the main menu by selecting options. There are general options, which control how the screen is displayed and how often navigational data is saved. Measurements may be set using the Measurements Options page. All English settings may be selected, or all metric, and then further customizations may be made by selecting the desired units within each individual fields. I prefer to see my measurements in nautical miles and feet. I like to see my depths in feet, and I want to see my bearings in true, just as an example, whatever my choices are. Could click OK, that would close this window, but I want to look at the next options setting, which is the Alerts panel. Alerts controls how and what the program generates alert messages for. When there's an active route, Course Updates at Waypoints generates alerts as the vessel transitions between waypoints. Boundary Crossings triggers alerts when the vessel crosses a boundary circle or a boundary area. Shallow and deep water alarms may be set. Again, when there's an active route, cross-track alerts may be generated when the cross-track value exceeds a given value, in this case a quarter of a mile. And this is the threshold, so changing it here will change the threshold that's used. Obstacles controls the program generating alerts for obstacles at some set distance ahead of the vessel. When the computer has a speaker connected, Voice Alerts enables Coastal Explorer to speak alerts. Many users choose to disable this option. AIS options control what AIS information is displayed, predictor lines, vessel names, etc. The default color, an easier way to see vessel symbols by having a wide vessel symbol as opposed to a narrow vessel symbol, what other targets to display, how to handle lost targets, as well as set thresholds for closest point of approach and time to closest point of approach, CPA and TCPA. Synchronize options. Coastal Explorer automatically synchronizes when the program is started. Unchecking this box stops that automatic synchronization. When there are program updates, automatically during synchronization allows the program to automatically download any new updates. Selecting only when I click download tells you about the update but gives you a download button when you're ready to download it. The same with chart updates. Automatically during synchronization or only when I click download. Selecting only when I click download will notify you that chart updates are available and give you a download button, and you choose when to download the charts. And the Rosepoint Labs features. These options control experimental features that we're currently testing. They're not considered official, they're not documented, and they're subject to change or removal at any time, and they may still have serious issues. With that said, if you try them out, feel free to email us at support@rosepointnav.com and let us know what you think. Clicking OK closes the options page. When multiple GPS sources are available, right-clicking on the vessel icon will list all the available sources. In this case, we just have one, but if we had more than one GPS source available, you would see them listed here and you could select the one that you'd like. The vessel icon flashes to indicate that there is no GPS source selected currently. In other words, dead reckoning mode. The boat icon. The boat icon itself on the screen. The appearance of the vessel icon can be controlled from the boat tab on the right-hand side. Clicking the boat tab shows the option. The size of the icon can be set to small, medium, or large. Its color can be adjusted. Clicking the range button at the top of the window, range circles could be put around the boat. How many of them? The size? How thick are they? What color are they? Things that make it easier to find the boat. I'll go back to the general boat options. A compass may be displayed around the vessel itself. If there's wind data available, checking the display wind box will show an arrow pointing in the direction the wind is coming from, and the speed of the wind will be displayed. Display predictor line enables or disables the vessel's predictor, the dotted line in front of the boat. I'll put the boat into simulated motion, and notice the predictor line is the dotted line from the position of the GPS, the configured position of the GPS on the vessel, and it indicates where the vessel will be at its current course and speed, in this case 5 minutes. Increasing the predictor line from 5 minutes to 6 or 7 minutes, notice the predictor line is getting longer. Also, other vessels' predictor lines on the screen, AIS targets, will also increase to show where they'll be in 10 minutes. So this increases the length of all the predictor lines on the screen. I'll leave it set to 5 minutes for the time being. The chart panel itself may be configured using the chart panel tools in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. The Screens button in the lower left-hand corner allows splitting the screen into 2, 3, or 4 windows. There are keyboard shortcuts for that. If I press the number 2 key on the keyboard at the top of the keyboard and the number 2 key, I get 2 windows on the screen. Pressing 1 gives me 1 window. I'll keep it set to 1. The Go to Boat button is used to put the program in what's called follow boat mode, where the chart panel scrolls to keep the boat in the center of the screen. Right now, the Go to Boat button has an X through it, indicating that the program is not following the boat because I manually drag the chart panel around. So if the boat were underway, when the boat got to the top of the screen, it would just continue off the top of the screen. The chart would not update. So I click the Go to Boat button, and notice the X goes away and the boat is now in the center of the screen. Clicking Go to Boat again when you're in follow boat mode puts it in what's called look ahead mode, which puts as much chart panel in front of the boat as possible. There's a keyboard shortcut for that. The home key on your keyboard. If I press the home key, it's the same as clicking the Go to Boat button. So right now we're in look ahead mode. So if I click the home key, it's going to switch me to center boat mode. Click it again, follow boat mode. If I drag the chart off to the side so it's no longer following the boat, notice the X around there in don't follow mode. Now pressing the home key puts the boat back in the mode it was in before. Next to that is the orientation button, which controls the chart orientation relative to the boat. Currently it's in north up mode. Clicking it once puts it in course up mode. Right now our course is due north, so I'll turn the vessel, and as the vessel turns, chart panel updates to keep the boat pointing, to keep the chart panel display in course up mode, so the boat's course is what's up. Clicking it again puts it in heading up mode. If we had a heading sensor connected to the computer, the chart panel would orientation so the boat's heading was up as opposed to its course, if that's any different. There's a keyboard shortcut for that, Control U. Typing Control U once takes us to north up mode. Typing Control U again takes us to course up. Typing it again takes us to heading up. Handy keyboard shortcuts. The plus and minus keys can be used to zoom in or out. Minus zooms out, plus zooms in. There's a slider if you want to make large adjustments in scale. And the plus and minus have keyboard shortcuts. The plus and minus keys on the keyboard. I press the minus key on my keyboard, we zoom out. I press the plus key, we zoom in. Press it again, we zoom in again. I don't have to hit the shift key, even though the plus is the shifted part of the equal sign key. I just hit the key that's got the plus printed on it, and we zoom in. And the minus zooms out. For more information about keyboard shortcuts, check the help file, which is accessible from the main menu. Click the main menu, go down to Help and Product Support, and there are some topics. Getting started, browse help topics, and keyboard shortcuts. Click that, and there are all the keyboard shortcuts. There's a lot of them. Help is also available clicking the question mark in the corner of every screen, and it's also available by pressing the F1 key. F1 opens help. The last thing this module will cover is customizing the instrument panel. Clicking the Instruments tab on the right-hand side brings up the instrument panel. Clicking the Active tab, in this case Instruments, will restore the entire instrument panel, giving you more chart space. When you want to see an instrument panel or a boat tab, just click the tab you'd like. But if the panel's not there, just click the tab that you're looking for. Instruments can be added to the instrument panel by placing the cursor in the instrument panel somewhere, right-clicking and selecting Add Another Panel. This opens the Add Instrument Panel window containing an alphabetical list of possible instruments. In this case, I'll add a course over ground instrument. Clicking it shows me a preview of what it'll look like there. Clicking the Add button actually puts it in the panel. You can see it there at the bottom of the instrument panel. I can add another instrument simply by scrolling through here and looking for the instrument I want. In this case, maybe I want AIS targets. Click that, add that. That shows up at the bottom, and I'll click Close to dismiss the Add Instrument Panel window. Some instruments can be customized. Right-clicking over Course Over Ground, notice there's a large text option. Selecting that makes the text twice as big. Instruments can be rearranged by holding down the Alt key, hovering over top of the instrument we'd like to move, and then clicking, left-clicking, and dragging it to the position we'd like it to be in. The instrument panel's gotten rather crowded here, so I'm going to remove the route monitor by right-clicking on top of it and selecting Close this panel. It goes away. Now there's more room for the AIS targets. The program can have multiple instrument panels. To create a new instrument panel, place the cursor on the tab list itself and right-click and select New Task Pane. That gives us another task pane for instruments. This one's called Instruments 2 in this case. And clicking Instruments 2 shows us a new blank instrument panel. So I'm going to populate this with instruments that I want for my route monitor. I'll right-click, select Add Another Panel. I'll scroll down to Route Monitor. Click Add to put it in the window. I also want a Reset Cross-Track instrument. Actually, it's not an instrument, it's a button. And since there is no route active, it's a grayed out button, but I'll use that. I'll add that. I'll also add a cross-track instrument, which is a display of cross-track value. Add that. And I'll add a Deactivate Route button to make it easy to deactivate a route. Click Add, click Close to dismiss this. Now I want to rearrange these. I'm going to put Deactivate Route at the very top of the list by holding down the Alt key, hovering over top of the button that I want to move, clicking, dragging, and let go of the instrument at the top. I'll also put the cross-track instrument below that. So I'll hover over top of it, hold down the Alt key, click and drag up to the top, and then I'll put a Reset Cross-Track button underneath that. Hold down the Alt key, right click and drag, and then we'll have the route monitor underneath there. Instruments 2 is a rather vague name, so I'll right click and select Rename Task Pane, and in this case I'll call it Route Info. Click OK, and now my tab has a new name. We'll see how to use these route tools in the module on using Coastal Explorer underway. So that's it for this configuration module.